Hello there folks, and welcome back to another video. In this one I wanted to have a little bit of a chat about Sharpe and the upcoming war game that is going to be on the way from the folks at Wargames Atlantic. So previous to all of the potential announcements of the game coming out later this year, maybe around the time of Salute and things like that, we had the miniatures last year for Richard Sharpe as based on the version of his character from Sharpe's rifles. As you can see here, these are the versions that were painted up by the studio. This is the version of Richard Sharpe from the TV show, using the likeness based on Sean Bean. And then they also did another head version, which is more in keeping with the version of Sharpe from the books, because in the books he has a large scar over his eyes, you can see there as well, and he also has dark hair. But both of these miniatures, absolutely great. They did them in 28mm, as you can see here, but they also did the 54mm version, which is actually based on Richard Sharpe himself, Sean Bean, using the likeness of the character, and this was sort of put together in sort of a plastic pack that was available last year. So as you can see, represents Richard Sharpe as of 1809. As I say, comes with the version of him in 28mm, but also the 54mm version. I have got a sort of unboxing and sort of build review of the miniature that I will have in the sort of end card, so you can go and have a look at that for yourself and see what you think. But the miniatures look great, sculpted by Bill Thornhill, as you can see there, figures painted by Chris Hindmarsh, absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, this was the first release that came out at the end, well, sort of not the end, but sort of the middle of last year, out of stock at the moment, which is good to know, actually, I suppose, which is quite cool. And this is essentially going to be the start of the miniatures range, because as I said here, this will be followed with more characters like Harper and Ruffin Harris and other notable characters from Sharpe's Rifles itself. So this is based on the first episode of the TV series, for those people who don't know, where Sharpe saves good old Nosy himself and Wellington, and is promoted up through the ranks to take control of the 95th Rifles. So if you've not seen that, make sure you go and check it out. You can watch the Sharpe episodes for free online over on YouTube. So I'll have a link down below, actually, in the comments, so someone can go and check that out for themselves. But the main thing that I wanted to point out is that Andy Hobday is hard at work on a set of rules that are going to be revealed this spring now, as of when we're sort of looking at this. And I'm really interested in sort of where they're going to go with it, because we already have a series of previews of some of the other miniatures as well. So, for example, we have, obviously, the man himself, Harper, is going to be popping up, which is quite cool. So, again, we're going to be getting a version that has a 28mm version. As you can see there, that's his back. And that's the front of the miniature there, alongside the head option that you can see. He's got two. He's got one with his shako on and one without his shako. And he also has his rifle at the ready, although there's also a sort of at-ease version of him, where he's got his hat in one hand, which is quite nice. And again, he'll come with a 54mm version of the miniature as well, so you'll be able to build them together and use them in your games on the tabletop. Now, this is going to be potentially the next addition to the range, although, of course, they could also get Harris being the character. Now, I think this version is the 28mm version that was previewed on social media not too long ago. Obviously, it will come with a 54mm version as well, so you're going to have some options there on that front too. But we've at least got 3 of the characters from the Chosen Men. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. Obviously, we're going to get Hagman. Maybe we'll get Tongue as well. I think that'd be quite interesting, sort of popping up to sort of populate things and sort of take you through the TV show and the different characters that get added in over the sort of period. I'd really like to see them do like Teresa and stuff like that, and some of the other characters from Sharpe's Rifles at the same time. I think that could be really fun, and I'd love to see them develop all the different villains and the different Spanish militia that fought alongside Sharpe and all that kind of thing as well to play out your games. Now, this isn't to say that Wargames Atlantic don't already have a series of miniatures. They already do have a series of 28mm figures for the Napoleonic Wars. So they already do the British Rifleman, which you can see here. This is a set that they initially came out with that was effectively them building Sharpe but not Sharpe. So you could make all of the different chosen men, as you can see here, from the various builds that they included as part of this. And you could create your own 95th Rifles, your British Rifleman, for use on the tabletop. Now, it'll be interesting to see. Actually, I do have the old miniatures as well as the new ones, so you could actually do a little bit of a comparison between the two to see whether or not they all measure up. But these are slightly more detailed, I think, and they've come a long way in terms of style and sculpt from these original releases. But they do exist there if you're going to be building up a Rifleman force for use on the tabletop. As you will have noted too, they do also have some other stuff they've worked on recently. So they did the Piano Wargames French Infantry in Greatcoats, which is a wonderful selection of incredibly well detailed plastic miniatures based on the sculpts by Piano, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Now, Greatcoats, not necessarily great for the Peninsular War, which is the focus of Sharpe's rifles, but of course you could use them for Russia and all that kind of thing too. I kind of hope that this is going to be the start of them doing really nice stuff with Piano and creating a new Napoleonic range to sit alongside what they're doing with the Sharpe game and sort of where it goes next. I think that could be a really nice sort of way for them to take things and develop the range going forward. Of course, it is a historical game, so there's no reason why you have to just use the stuff from Wargames Atlantic and what they produce. You could just get miniatures from all over the place to use in this if you saw fit. But yeah, I would assume this range is going to expand, and we're going to get a lot of more of these legends, as you can see, coming up, because it has that sort of Legends Collection 1 marker on them. So I think all the characters are probably going to be in that style, and then from there we'll end up developing into maybe them including different kits from the likes of Piano Wargames and such in order to sort of flesh things out. But the miniatures range is all well and good. It's really cool that it's sort of coming along, and then they're sort of building it up, and hopefully it won't be too long before we get to see Harris and Harper and the rest of them popping up to join Sharpe. I will definitely be painting those miniatures myself. I'll actually have a little bit more about that when I dive into my hobby vlog at the end of the week, which is a sort of members only, sort of behind the scenes, I suppose you'd say, look at what I've been up to at the moment as well. I am sorry, by the way, that I missed videos last week. I have not been very well, so that is the reason why you have not had anything from me for a little while. Now, rules-wise, I wanted to point out that they are actually going to be basing this, potentially, according to what's been talked about online, the Barons War 2nd edition, or at least the Barons War rules by Andy Hobday. They are a series of sort of semi-skirmish rules, I would say, for playing out medieval battles. But there is no reason why you couldn't use this to then develop things and turn it into a full-on Napoleonic war game. Now, Barons War has a fairly sizable array of models for you to choose from in medievals, and it kind of gives you an idea of the types of numbers of characters that you're going to be using on the tabletop. I mean, this set comes with, what, 24 levy, 18 foot sergeants, and 12 foot knights. So what's that? 40 plus. So you're looking at around 30 men per side. So if you consider the characters, and then you've got a couple of different regiments and squads skirmishing around, it'd be really interesting to see where they go with that one and sort of how it develops. But that isn't to say that, I mean, this is the older edition of the book, which I have, but I can't imagine it's too different. Stats-wise and things like that, it also seems like it would work fairly similarly. I mean, Barons War currently runs on a D10 system, so I would see them taking that. Movement, similar across all sorts of different things. Attack, again, makes a whole lot of sense to just have the attack score be the same as it is. Defense, morale, obviously important for Napoleonic wargaming, so it's nice to see that in there. Number of actions they have and their points that they have as well. The other thing that you get with Barons War is the activation of sort of groups of infantry. So they are sort of like your retinue and your groups move as one on the tabletop, and your commanders are incredibly important, which again feels like it matches in with the idea of what you'd want to do with Napoleonic wargaming at the same time. It's a well-regarded set of rules, the Barons War, hence why it got a 2nd edition, and the range of plastics and all that kind of thing. And I don't think it would take a massive amount of finicking and tweaking and changing for them to sort of then turn this into a set of rules for Napoleonic wargaming on the tabletop. Obviously, you have a little bit more shooting involved in Napoleonic warfare. Again, you have arrows and things in medieval warfare, but obviously you've got a lot of rifles and pistols and all that kind of stuff. You'd obviously have bayonet charges and swashbuckling and all that kind of thing, especially if you're going down the Sharpe route as well. So it'll be really fascinating to see what they go with that. And if they make it slightly more heroic at the same time, that isn't to say that the Barons War can't be slightly more heroic, because they did do a sort of fantasy version called Warhost, which is based on the Barons War system. So, I mean, I'm not saying fantasy is in sort of like magic and that kind of thing, but I'm saying sort of like making things feel more heroic and over the top and that kind of stuff. It could easily be done. And as I say, you know, this rule set has been around for a while. It's very well regarded. It works really nicely. And taking something like this and developing it into a Napoleonic war game feels like it would work quite well. It's just all about getting the scale of things right, I think, for people, because this could be the first, much like with the Silver Bayonet, I think this could be the first time that somebody maybe even looks at diving into Napoleonic wargaming, because you have the name of Sharpe behind it. I know a lot of people looked at the Silver Bayonet as a really nice entry point for Napoleonic wargaming, because it was sort of Napoleonics but with a fantasy twist. I think having a TV-based version of a Napoleonic wargame based around Sharpe could be something that really draws people to the tabletop and gets them playing some fun games. So I'm really fascinated to see what they do with that and where it goes. There's not a lot more beyond that has been talked about at the moment, but I just wanted to sort of like go through and have a sort of like a release of my thoughts onto the internet about what they're going to do with this. I really like the miniatures. I love Sharpe. I think it's great that they're doing it based on the various episodes and sort of carrying it through. We've already got the plastic miniatures for Sharpe himself. We're going to have Harris and Harper and the rest of them coming up as well fairly soon, so it's not going to be too long before we get to see them. Maybe we'll see them at Salute, and you'll be able to get them there first. That'd be really fun. Of course, seeing all of the Chosen Men would be absolutely fantastic, so I'd love that to be the case. And lots of fun things on the horizon for this one, I would hope. I'm really interested to see what they do with the Barons War rules. When this does land, I will definitely be having a closer look at it and learning a little bit more about it and sort of how it all works. I'm eager to see what they do with the game and the range and that kind of thing. And as long as you give me Teresa, as long as we get Teresa, it's going to be awesome. We need the needle in our games of Sharpe's rifles on the tabletop. So yeah, interested to see what they do with this. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below. Are you a Napoleonic fan? Are you a Sharpe fan? Could this be the game that gets you into playing Napoleonics on the tabletop? Are you interested in seeing where they go next with all of this and sort of what they do with it? Do you think you'll be using the rules that they come out with, or you'll be playing something like Chosen Men or Silver Bayonet or Black Powder or something with these models, Sharpe's Practice, all that kind of thing? Let me know what you think in the comments, and it'll be fun to hear what you all have to say. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff in the comments. It's always fun to see what you folks are talking about, and I love the back and forth that we get between us when we do. As I've mentioned, there are members-only videos coming up on the channel, so you can check those out and sign up for a membership, which would be really nice. There are also an affiliate link to Firestorm Games if you want to go and get some miniatures for yourself. Get a little bit of a kickback from that. There is also a Ko-fi link and all that kind of stuff as well. If you would like to, if you like what I do and you just want to give me a couple of bucks here and there, a couple of pennies to pay for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something like that. But yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will be diving into more videos very, very soon. Thank you very much. Tell me what you think about Sharpe in the comments down below. Tell me what your favourite episode of Sharpe is. That would be great. And I will be back with more videos very, very soon. Bye for now.